What's up, Earthrockers? It's your boy Shovatar, back with a video that is technically not about a Castlevania game, although it could credibly be classified with the Castlevania games, I think. This is Akumajou Special, Boku Dracula-kun. They don't say Dracula, they say Dracula, but anyway, which is a parody of the Castlevania series. I learned about this because as I've been going through this series, there's this tier list that I found on Tier Maker that I've been filling out, that I've been moving things around in, and this particular tier list happened to include both this and the Game Boy version of Kid Dracula, so I was like, I just finished up the last of the classic Castlevanias with Chronicles. Let me unwind with some fun games before I get going onto the big, complex, long Metroidvanias. So that was my general motivation for playing this and the other Kid Dracula, but the differences between them, which I will talk about later. This game came out in 1990 only for the Famicom, which is why the whole thing is in Japanese, and there are some consequences of that, which I'll talk about later on. The plot loosely is that the Demon King Garamos, I don't know, has appeared, and all of the monsters have gone over to his side, and they're no longer working for Dracula. So now Dracula, or Kid Dracula, has to go on an adventure to beat the new evil Demon King. So it basically has the same plot as Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2, as I understand it. You will also notice, if you have pretty sharp ears, that the music that plays for this level is sort of a goofy, upbeat remix of New Beginning from Castlevania 3. One of the things that makes this game so fun is the atmosphere, is like the fact that it's funny and goofy and strange, but it actually is really hard. Especially level 9 is a pretty brutal spike in difficulty. Yeah, I like the music so much I'm dancing a little bit to it. Hard enough to the point that I didn't want to bother putting in the time to do a deathless run of it. Although that has less to do with level 9, more to do with level 7, which I'll talk about when I get to it, and because this game is much more of a dedicated platformer than Castlevania games are. Kid Dracula has proper air control, he has variable jump height. This is a platformer in the truest sense of the word. And that's really where most of the difficulty comes in. You're generally not going to die to combat in this game. You're going to die to fucking up a jump. So here's the first boss. It's a little ghost. The ghosty thing jumps around. Yeah, like I said, the combat is really not difficult. And Kid Dracula is pretty overpowered. Oh my god, it's Kanye West. Holy shit. Yeah, this maybe should go without saying, but this particular enemy is not present in the American re-release of this game. I'll be honest, I don't know what the hell's going on here. I don't know what bizarre Japanese cultural thing that's a reference to, but I'm guessing it's just lost on me as an American. As an American, I look at that and I see a Klansman with a swastika on his forehead, and maybe they see something else, I don't know. Yeah, so what I just got there was okay, I should explain this shit that's happening here, because this is like incomprehensible to me. So what's happening is, there's like 4 potential mini-games down there at the bottom, and the mini-games are usually like random like gambling games that can give you 1-ups. Like right there, I got a 1-up there. And that's why 1CCing this game is not really like, it's kind of like, oh, you 1CC'd Kid Dracula. It's like, it doesn't matter. Oh shit, well there's my first death. Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I mean when I say the platformers aren't really my thing. I'm just not like, I'm not very good at like spatial calculations in that way. I think I'm better with like timing and rhythm, and not really with like that sort of thing. Fuck was I saying? Yeah, the mini games. So like 1CCing this game. Like, you could 1CC this game and die like a million times if you got lucky with the minigames, because the minigames can give you like absurd numbers of 1-ups. So like, me labeling this as a 1CC, it's not like other. At least what I'm laboriously trying to get out of my big fat mouth is that once seeing this game is not like an accomplishment. The way that like once seeing Castlevania 1 would be an accomplishment, or Castlevania 3. It's just like, it just means, hey, I didn't die that much. I didn't, I never saw the game over screen, so that's that. And what I just got there, so you start off just shooting fireballs. You have like a charge fireball attack you can use, and then every new level gives you a new fireball or a new ability. And what I just got there was a homing fireball, where if I charge it up for long enough, I can shoot off 5 smaller fireballs that like home in on things. And all I could think of when I first got that was like how fucking overpowered that would be in like an actual Castlevania game. like how much easier those games would be if you could shoot 5 homing projectiles to just kill everything on the screen that's small and hard to hit. Those are the enemies in Castlevania that are the most dangerous, are the ones that are small and hard to hit. And I apologize for the flickering. I think that's just true to the hardware. I think that's just something that the Famicom and the NES, I think they just do that. You probably know that already if you're familiar with retro games, but I figured I would just mention it anyway in case any of the 10 people who ever watched this video don't know like what the fuck's going on with the flickering sprites. That's just a limitation of the NES. It can't really handle that much. It can't handle too many things on the same horizontal plane at the same time, and I think there actually might be an option in this emulator to remove that, to have that not happen, but I just, you know, that's how it looked. Like, that's how it looked on the Famicom, so I want to have as close to the genuine experience as I possibly can. This level is actually pretty tough, because it's a lot of platforming, and because the boss is actually kind of tough. Like, yeah, this is a goofy kids game, and it's easy to 1cc to get lucky, but it's still pretty hard. Like, there's still lots of legitimate challenge in this game, especially if you don't properly utilize the extra attacks that the game gives you. So here's the level 2 boss, less offensive than the level 1 boss, presumably, unless you're somebody who gets offended by chickens. And this guy's actually pretty tough, because he does like a little dive lunge that you maybe saw him do for a second there, and that it's actually like really hard to dodge, like, because he seems like he just gets right on top of you, and he always like follows where you walk. So I don't think it's as simple as just keep running and he won't hit you. It feels harder than that. So that fight ultimately becomes more of like a DPS race, where he's probably just gonna fucking hit you, so you just have to keep hitting him until he dies, and just don't let up the attack. Oh yeah, and the mini games in these screens, enemies will drop coins, and you use coins to play the mini games. So that's what those are all about. So the number of times I get to spin this thing is dependent on the number of coins I have, and the more coins I get, the more times I can spin it, the more chances I get to get the big jackpot high score extra lives. Now we get a water level. Fortunately, there's no difference between. Fortunately, there's no swimming in this game. It's just jumping, but with lower gravity. But this is also annoying in this level, because there's a couple spots where you have to jump forward. This is just like Castlevania 3. That's oh god, am I gonna die? Okay, no, I didn't die. That's just like Sypha trying to fucking shoot lightning at things in Castlevania 3. The fucking homing projectiles fucking go where you don't want them to go. That's so funny. Yeah, and there's lots of things like this where it's just like you have to... Lots of things in this game where you just have to know what's going to happen ahead of time. Like, you have to know that there are fish coming out of the side of the screen there. You have to know where those spikes are, because those spikes that I landed in between, you could very easily just fall on top of those if you're falling from up there. It's not too brutal, it's just kind of like typical older video game stuff, where people who developed games weren't necessarily trying to make them so that you could beat it on like your first try. So they didn't have any qualms about putting like surprise shit out there, because they're like, well, you're gonna have to spend some time fucking beating it. Because back then, there weren't as many things competing for people's time. People weren't worried, oh, if it takes too long to beat our game, they'll just go play something else. They were like, no, these games have to last. And if that means making it absurdly difficult, or creating these bizarre ambush scenarios, then so be it. It's a price worth paying. Yeah, this is kind of like how you play this game, is just constantly having homing attacks charged and ready in case some shit comes at you. And now, the new attack that I got for this level is the bomb attack, where you charge up and it like shoots a bomb. This just does a shit ton of damage. This will pretty much kill anything that it hits, except for like bosses. But even bosses, it'll do like mega damage too. Like this guy, you'd think that because he's like zooming around the screen, you're supposed to use the homing attacks, but the homing fireballs are actually so slow that by the time they like catch up to him, he's off the screen. So because he's only on the screen for a short amount of time, you're supposed to do is that. You're supposed to aim bomb shots at him and hit him as he goes by, because he doesn't stay on the screen long enough for the homing attack to get him. So that's what this boss fight is doing. It's teaching you to use this. It's teaching you how much fucking damage it does, because I think this guy dies in like 4 shots, and it's teaching you how to aim it, pretty much. 4 shots. Sakuretsu. That's what it's called. I don't know what that means. I guess explosion or something. And now you can turn into a bat, which you might think would trivialize all the platforming that I'm complaining about, but not so. Not so. And you will see that as we go on. This is so funny to me because, like, when I first played this game, like, those intermediate screens, just, like, I didn't know what anything was, and it all looked like complete nonsense. It was like some guy talking, and then I go down a path, and then a skeleton is there, and then he talks, and then nothing happens, and I had no idea what was going on. So that was, like, pretty funny to me the first time I played the game, that all this, like, Japanese nonsense was happening. Like I said, I can read some Japanese, but I'm very far from knowing the language or even having a working knowledge of it. Yeah, this level is also kind of really obnoxious. It's a lot of, there's ice on the floor, it's a lot of, like, slippery shit, and you're supposed to... So the reason why the bat doesn't trivialize the game is because controlling it is actually pretty tough. It's like Alucard in Dracula's Curse, but, like, even worse, because the bat will gradually drift upwards, so you have to, like, constantly, like, course correct. It takes time for him to change direction. There's, like, all this momentum, and the game loves doing shit like that, where you have to pass through narrow, spaces. Like this, too, is another great example, where you have to... It's like controlling... I don't know. It's like controlling something that's hard to control. It's tough to explain, because if you just watch it, yeah, like there you have to go up, and then, stop your momentum by going back down, but don't go down too much, you hit the spikes. So that's just another thing that you have to learn. There's some strange enemies, the seals with bombs. The game is so goofy. I also like to imagine that it's also funny how these are conventional platformer levels. It's not like these levels are modeled after, because there are certain Castlevania archetype levels, like there'll be like cave levels or tower levels or something like that. This is more like general platformer levels, like the ice level, and that bitch always hits me. I can never get out of the way of that ice skating. That second ice skater there. Although the Bone Serpent from the Sunken Temple and the Alucard route in Dracula's Curse has made his return. Does not fall apart as you take damage, however, and he's also become purple, but he's just as good at making the game slow down, if not better. This is intense. I'm on the edge of my seat. It's gonna happen. Damn, these homing attacks are actually really bad at the homing in on the one part of it that I could actually hit. I might be better off using the bomb here, because all it would take is I probably am, because it just would take like probably 2 or 3 shots to kill this thing, or 3 or 4. And most of the times I was hitting its head, I was roughly aiming towards it anyway, and the homing attacks just kind of slightly moved to get to it. This attack has very limited usage, the ice attack, because it basically is a small, fast-moving projectile that can freeze things, but you also have access to Sakuretsu from Stage 3. I don't know what the hell this is, by the way. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I still don't know what the fuck is going on. I think it's another random thing where you just put in a coin and then the game randomly decides to either give you the one-ups you asked for or not. I have no fucking idea. But yeah, the bomb attack kind of makes the ice attack redundant. Because why would you shoot a small fast-moving projectile to freeze something where you could shoot a small fast-moving projectile to just kill something? There's actually only one part in the whole game where ice is useful, and that jump is probably doable without the bat, but I just turned it to the bat anyway to make it safe. The game gives you a tool you can use to eliminate risks. Always do it. This is New York City, by the way, which is why there's UFOs and criminals everywhere. And I know it's New York City, and I have proof that I'll show momentarily. Oh, actually, no. I think it's gonna happen right now, right? Yeah, there's King Kong. So, what Japanese people know about New York, according to this game, is there are criminals and King Kong is there. There's actually King Kong in that. There's a Mario game. The AVGN did an episode about it a long time ago, called Mario is Missing, which is actually an educational game where Luigi has to walk around learning about the nations of the world. A weird fucking game, but that's like the thing you learn about New York in that game is that New York has King Kong in it, which is so bizarre. I don't know why the Japanese culture latched onto that particular thing. I mean, they like King Kong over there. They got Donkey Kong, so I don't know. Maybe it's because it's like. I mean, I know they like their kaiju over there, but the thing about King Kong is that King Kong is not really a kaiju. He's kind of not big enough. Oh yeah, and they're punks with mohawks. This reminds me of Earthbound a lot, actually. I didn't really like put this together as I was playing it originally, but watching the footage back, this is like it's like the skate punks from Earthbound coming to mug you on the train. This part's actually pretty tough. You have to just sort of do what I'm doing here, which is constantly have a homing shot charged up, so that way if something comes out of the screen you're not expecting, you're just ready for it. Yeah, there's Jason Voorhees. Jason Voorhees shows up. Which is inaccurate. Although, no, didn't Jason go to Manhattan? Isn't there like a movie where Jason Voorhees goes to New York? So maybe that's what this is a reference to. Jason in Manhattan. Because I was gonna say that's wrong because Jason hangs out at a campsite, but no, there actually isn't a movie where he goes to New York. I haven't seen it. I just know that it exists. I feel like that movie would probably be really short. If a maniac in a hockey mask showed up in New York and just started killing people, I feel like he'd just get shot. Don't you? I mean, I mean, shooting wouldn't kill him, but I mean, it wouldn't be long. It's not like he's difficult to find. Although he is wearing a mask, so maybe that complicates things. Anyway, here is the level 5 boss, the Statue of Liberty. You do not fight her in a conventional sense. Which I assume is what she's explaining in all this text. I really don't know what she's saying. Kurizu. Quiz show. Yeah, you have to beat these two guys in a game show where she asks you trivia questions. Now, full disclosure, I can't read Japanese, so I cheated to look up what the answers to these questions were. I know. I'm a horrible, horrible person not engaging with the game as intended, but I don't speak Japanese. The first question, she's asking what country she's from. Answer is, of course, America. The second question is what country gave me to America? Answer is France. I actually didn't know that, which is really embarrassing. This like Japanese game knows more about the history of Oh, this question's actually pretty funny. So the third question she asks is what Japanese word do Americans know best? And I think the first one is like sushi or something, or and then the second answer is Nintendo, and then the third answer is say, and then it doesn't finish, and the duck tries to guess say. It's supposed to be Sega, I think. And the duck tries to guess Sega, and then she says, "No, that's wrong." And that duck is actually faster on the buzzer than I am. I can never beat him in that third question. I don't know. I don't know why. That first thing she said was not sushi. It was something else. 'Cause I know I saw the katakana for ni at the beginning of it, so I don't know. I can't remember what the first answer is. Yeah, see, I just got 3 lives right there because I got lucky. That's what I mean when I say this game's not. Oh shit! And I just got 5 lives. So that's what I mean when I say this game's not hard to 1cc, because you could just. I have 11 lives, so it's just kind of. Just kind of goofing around, just kind of playing for fun. This game actually did kick the shit out of me the first time I played it, though. Level 4 filtered me pretty hard. Because the thing is, if you're getting game overs and dying all the time, it's hard to accumulate coins. So you can't play the one-up mini games as much. So it's very much like a momentum thing, where if you know enough about the game to start off playing well, then it gives you way more opportunities to just keep getting more lives and pretty much never have to worry about getting a game over. Which is fine by me. The new ability I got for this stage is we're in Egypt, by the way. Kid Dracula's quest to defeat the Demon King has brought him to Egypt. Egypt level. I mean, of all the things I thought Castlevania was lacking, an Egypt level was high on the list. And look at that, skeletons! Now we really are in Castlevania. It's a little world. It's Kid Dracula's world tour. That's what this is. Yeah, the ability you got for this stage was the ability to walk on ceilings, however briefly. Which is actually... it's hard for me to say whether, it's the kind of thing where, it's useful, but it's usually useful in, specific spots where it's obviously useful, where that's obviously the solution to the puzzle, is to use that thing. This isn't really a case of... The fact that you get the homing attack and then you get the bomb attack means that when it comes to enemies, or enemy placement, you always have tools to instantly just get rid of whatever's in your way, so it's more about dealing with the environmental hazards. And here, I think what you're supposed to do is just keep running along this pathway, but the reason that I turn into a bat and duck down is because of that. There's a skull that goes flying across towards you while the pathway collapses, and I think you have to either have a bomb just charged and ready to go, but in order to fire a bomb you have to stop and shoot it, which means that the platform keeps up with you, or catches up to you and you fall and die. So I think turning into a bat actually is the intended solution there, although I'm not sure. We're in Indiana Jones. Look at that. Yeah, see, I'm getting all these coins. Once I learned that the bomb attack not only one-shots things, but always drops coins, that's when I realized that the game gives you, infinite lives. That means you never die. And here's the boss, the level 6 boss. Or it should be here in a moment. There it is. This boss is a complete crapshoot. This boss will occasionally shoot bubbles out at you, and the bubbles will sometimes hit you, and then sometimes angle towards you and hit you, and force you to try to intercept them with a fireball, or sometimes they will miss you, or sometimes he won't shoot anything at all. Like there, he didn't shoot anything. But if he does shoot stuff and you don't immediately intercept it, it's very hard to dodge properly. This guy has restyled his hair. And what is happening? Okay. I don't know what that was about. I also don't know why this guy's hair is now different. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. I bet... Oh, I bet this... Well, I shouldn't have to bet, I just know. One of everything. There's no way I can lose. Unless it lands on 0, I guess. Yeah, I got a 1-up. Alright. What is happening? Is it going again? I can't. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why I'm not. Am I AFK? I might be AFK. Yeah, because there's no way it would be spinning this slowly. I think I'm AFK right now. Sorry, guys. I'm just enjoy the sight of the slot machine as the cursor spins around. Yeah, the gambling mini games do not survive into the Game Boy Kid Dracula. Or wait, do they? I can't remember. Because there are several there are different like one-up mini games in Kid Dracula, the 1993 Game Boy game, but I don't remember what they all are. I don't remember if any of them are very clearly modeled to look like, okay, here's level 7. Level 7 is the hardest stage in the entire game, because it's a series of very specific jumps across these platforms. And if you want to talk about the game, like, just killing you when you, like, the first time you play it, this is, like, a perfect example of that, because it's not always, like platforms will come down when you're not, that jump is really hard to do. Because if you try to jump to the one on the left, you end up too low. You have to wait for the one on the right to fall down. But if you jump too soon, you'll hit your head on the higher platform. And that's like the biggest, see right there. Yeah, that's another RNG thing. Those rockets just come up in random positions. That rocket just ended up in a bad spot. It ended up being right where I needed to jump, so I just died for no reason. Which is one reason why I you know... the biggest reason I'm not doing a deathless run of this is just personal taste and personal preferences, but also there's this bizarre, there's this really frustrating RNG element. Do I die here? Yeah, that jump is so annoying. Because your instinct is to jump as soon as possible to get away from the bottom of the screen, but you really have to wait for a long time to pull it off. That's my least favorite jump in the whole thing. It's where I usually die. The thing about, bonking your head on platforms above you, that killed me a lot in Super Castlevania 4, and it killed me a lot here when I was learning this level. And it's the same solution. It's be at the very edge of the platform when you jump. Trust that. God damn, that's so annoying, dude. Ugh. I'm just not good at platforming. I'm just not good at whatever it takes to figure this shit out. I actually have done this without dying before. The first 1cc that I recorded, I got this in my first try, which is a fucking miracle. But I had a bad level 9, and I didn't want to upload a bad level 9, because level 9 is longer, and I didn't want you guys to have to watch the same thing over and over again for too much. And the fact that, and this is more like illustrative of what usually happens in this game, is me dying over and over again on level 7. But it's pretty short, you know, credit where credit is due. It's a short, I don't know what the hell he's saying. I guess he's saying, I will kill you, I will defeat you. This boss is actually pretty cool. It's kind of like a Castlevania boss. It's the first boss that really feels like that, where he has these attack patterns and this specific moment of vulnerability, where he charges at you and lifts up his sword, and you have to attack right when he lifts the sword up. Because otherwise the sword will just block every attack. I like this boss fight. I like this boss too. This is a cool thing. And I think that's supposed to be the first incarnation of Garamoth. I think. This guy's hair is back to normal. He doesn't have his sunglasses on anymore. I don't know what the deal is. I think this is like, yeah, I don't get that. I still don't get what that is. I know it's like you're trying to not, I think it's like you're trying to not get the skeleton to knock it, you're trying to not knock the skeleton's head off, and the more swords you get in without knocking the head off, the more lives you get, I guess, but there I don't know. I think that's how it works. A lot of this stuff I just don't understand. So level 8 is actually, there's actually some pretty tough combat stuff in level 8. That's why I'm kind of moving very slowly and methodically killing these guys with the homing attack. It's because of those fucking witches. Those things are so fucking hard to dodge, dude. I legitimately don't know how to do it. I actually do not know how to dodge them. Because they lunge down at you and like, I mean, maybe if I had a flat plane of like nothing but open horizontal ground to run across, then I'd be able to dodge them and they just wouldn't hit me. But because you're fighting them on these small stretches of ground, these drops, it's like, okay, yeah, if I'm running they can't hit me, but I can't run very far on any of these particular any of the floors on any of these floating ships. So that's where the difficulty comes in. Yep, just bat across, don't even bother trying to fuck with it. And this was another thing where, yeah, the bomb just solves all your problems. These enemies are tough to fight, but if you use the bomb, they just die. Once I learned, because the first few times I played this game, I seriously underutilized the bomb. I was so enamored by the homing attack, but then I realized how much damage it does and how much simpler it makes everything. It's kind of it's kind of what you should always be doing in this game, is just using the fucking bomb. Unless you need to use the homing attack, because there are small flying things that you can kill, but otherwise... Yeah, those robots, that robot that was spazzing out and running back and forth, that guy can shoot rockets that will home in on you, and they're pretty tough to dodge. Let's see if this guy does it. No, he just flew off the fucking screen, and that guy just flew right past me, so nobody apparently gives a shit. I like how the laser is just a solid block of white. That's so funny to me, for some reason. Yeah, this game gets very strange at the end. You're fighting robots, and then the last level's like a factory. It's really not what I was expecting. I was expecting Garamoth to have his own, like, castle. This version of... yeah. I mean, I think this is pretty self-explanatory. Just sit on the ceiling and spam attacks at him until he explodes and disappears and dies. And is no more. I like to imagine that Kid Dracula is Alucard. Now this guy's bald, I don't know why. I feel like if I played the Japanese translation, well, I have now played the Japanese translation of Dracula's Curse, I think I would still be able to understand what's happening, but these little in-between sections really just sort of drop you into a world that you just can't understand. I love this. Okay, I love level 9 of Famicom Kid Dracula. It's so cool. The music is great. It's like this gauntlet of challenges that all have really clear solutions. It's not like a platforming thing the way that level 7 is. Level 7 is basically a platforming gauntlet. This is like a gauntlet of proper utilization of all of your abilities. And this is the only place in the whole game where I use ice, because ice is the only thing that damages this guy. Fireballs don't. I am fucking... okay, this is like so good, what I'm watching right now. I don't know how it looks, but dodging that thing's charge is actually like really precise. It requires really precise timing, because if you wait till he starts moving, you're never gonna jump over him in time, so you have to like, you have to wait until after he shows up and then like really specifically time your jump. It's super hard, and the difficulty probably does not come across in the footage. But that's like, getting no damage on that guy is like so good. I'm so happy with that. And now this part is also really cool. It's like forcing you to it's like forcing you to do the Castlevania thing, where when you jump and attack in Castlevania, you don't slow down as much. Like, you don't like stop and whip. If you can get part of the animation done in midair and like maintain your forward momentum, now you have to do that with Kid Dracula, because you have to get to these safe spots while these robots are coming at you. You can't stop to fireball all of them. And the reason I'm just like spamming fireballs at the wall is because sometimes they will spawn out of the wall. And this part can actually get kind of shitty, because sometimes the homing fireballs will like just veer away from what you're trying to hit, and you won't be able to get through that part. But there, it's fine. Now we have the second boss. Oh, and by the way, you have to do all of this in a row. If you die on stage 9 at any point, you go back to the very beginning. This guy is super hard. Like, I still don't really understand. Because okay, here's the concept. The idea is, you run underneath him to bait him to fall down. And then... okay, that's what you're supposed to do. Is you're supposed to run in to bait him to fall on top of you, but when he actually falls, be out from underneath him. But the thing is that in order to pull that off, you have to trigger his attack when he's at a high point in his little oscillation in his flight. So you have to run, and he won't drop until you're directly underneath like the point of the drill. So you have to like get underneath him at a very specific moment in the cycle of his movement. And god damn, see, I feel like I didn't do anything differently there than I did in the second drop, but that time he hit me. So actually, I think I love the little fire lion boss, but I actually really don't like this boss, because I think that the timing, and there I feel like he wasn't as high up, but I still managed to get through and get away from him in time. So I don't know. That boss is really bad, because I feel that boss, I don't ever feel like I have any control over what's going on. And now, it's the man himself. What is the actual Galamosu? Galamosu. He's a green demon guy. He looks like the alien. He looks like Cell. He's the final boss, and this is actually like a really hard boss. This reminds me of a fucking Castlevania boss, because you have to stay between the lightning bolts and then hit him when he opens his mouth to shoot the fireball, but not get hit by the fireball. So you have to move really, really precisely, where you have to be underneath him enough to hit his mouth, and then away enough from the middle to not get hit by the fireball, but not so far from the middle that you run into the lightning balls. So it's actually really tricky. Fortunately, the hitboxes on everything are pretty forgiving. Like, the fireball really does only hit the very, very middle, and as you can see, I can get super close to the lightning without actually taking damage from it. But still, this was a surprisingly, like, stringent challenge for a goofy-ass comedy game. And he goes down. Cell is no more. We call that super imperfect Cell. Cell when he's fat. And now Dracula retakes his place as the King of Darkness. I'm guessing that's what this is saying. I really have no idea. But look, he's back on his throne with all of his monster buddies. Back to the way things should be. Ready to get brutally murdered by whoever is next born with the last name Belmont. Don't ask me why Frankenstein's wearing lipstick, I do not know. So that's Kid Dracula on the Famicom, one of 2 Kid Dracula games. The second one is on the Game Boy, I'll be posting a video of that later on. Also, kind of tough to evaluate this game alongside the other Castlevania games, but it's just a fun, solidly designed, goofy, enjoyable little game. Like, but it's also surprisingly hard. Like, the fact that I shied away from doing a deathless run of this, compared to, like, how I leaned into doing a deathless run of, like, Dracula's Curse, should say something about the difficulty of this game. But the difficulty does mostly just come from the jumps and from the platforming. So, if that's your thing, if you love goofy old retro platformers, play this game, because it's fun. Buy it from your local Blockbuster and pop it in your Famicom, and enjoy. Creative, interesting, colorful, that's the big thing. And that's the big thing the Game Boy version lacks, but I'm gonna have to wait to talk about that until I talk about that. I like to imagine that Kid Dracula and Alucard are the same character. I mean, they both have white hair, don't they? I also don't know what this says, but this shows up here. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Bit of a change of pace. Keep your eyes peeled. Boom goes the